Can you believe it? It's extraordinary.
Hello, welcome back, loyal Patreon legends. Welcome back to another episode of Get Your Crow On. This is part 2 with the amazing Rob joining us here today with this fantastic collection. Now, if you haven't seen part 1 yet, check it out. We just had a fantastic chat about Super League, Rugby League, living in Sydney.
Everything but footy.
Everything but
sorts,
footy.
yeah.
But, we also had a chat about, you starting your collection and the sort of rationale, which I'd love to hear a bit more about in a sec. But first, thank you so much to our sponsors off the top, and Payment Assay and Trojan Aluminium. Thank you, every one of you watching now. If you're watching, you're a Patreon subscriber, which means you're helping keep the lights on here at Green Hill Road Studios. So thank you so much for your ongoing support as well. Mate, let's talk footy jumpers.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Should we crack the first one?
Oh, yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
go
Let's get
for
straight
it.
into
So
it.
kind of gone. So you sort of focus on match-worn jumpers only?
Yes. Yeah. So that was the idea. I mean, I've branched out a little bit more in terms of trying to get more designs.
Yeah.
I think a few of us now are trying to do, one of every thing that Adelaide's ever worn, which is, a fruitless task.
That's rough, isn't
Every
it?
year they bring out 5 more that you got to try and get. So this year I think we're already up to 4 with all the different aways and stuff.
I'll say though, before you bring that out though, this has been the first year where I've really made a concerted effort to try to get one of each.
Yeah.
Because I
Good
rate.
year to
Oh,
do
it's
it.
been a great year. I don't know about you, mate, but Leighton and I just gush about O'Neill's. We love everything they produce so far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
You on
haven't.
board?
I haven't seen.
No, I haven't seen it in
this-
person, but
Sure.
But so far, I
Yeah.
mean, when you look around the league, like probably Macron would be the worst looking thing I've ever seen.
Oh,
They just
yes.
look garbage.
Easy.
don't they have
Um,
heat press numbers, the port ones?
They do.
Some of them.
I think
So,
so,
especially
especially early
O'Leary's
on.
got a longie. Lysette never seemed like they just never seem to order his Guernsey for some reason. I don't know what that is, but he always seems to have a.
Yeah.
He's been on the list for 3 years or something. And
Yeah.
they just always heat pressed.
It's crazy.
But yeah, just the quality of it doesn't feel.
As soon as
up
I
to
heard they were
scratch.
going to Macron, I was scared for the Crows.
Yeah.
Thinking if they were going to copy suit, but
Yeah.
them being
Yeah.
a soccer sort of focused, it's a bit worrying.
Well, you worry too because we've, like you say, they've gone with a bit of another sport make. And
Yeah.
we've gone with bloody Gaelic football.
Yeah.
So you would think Macron, who do so much European football, would have a handle on it. O'Neill's, this one tiny little market, they've definitely come out on top
Yeah.
in terms of quality, I would say.
They've done a good job.
Mm.
At a time when most of, like if we're honest, most footy jumpers now are kind of rubbish.
Aren't they?
They're just,
Yeah.
I mean, when you go back, when I look at the stuff from the
Yeah.
90s, even if you just, like you go Collingwood and Sydney have gone with Nike,
Mm.
the quality of that stuff compared to, I'll show you one later, and that's 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And they can't, I mean, it's all mass produced and everyone's into, getting their own collars and all that kind
Yeah.
of putting their own stamp on things. But
Yeah.
like, just make a simple jumper.
And just make it good quality.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
make the colours work. We've ranted about BLK in the
Yeah.
past about
Yeah.
washed out looking colours.
That
and-
era.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some horrible stuff.
Back to the Nikes this year, I think
Yes.
they've noticed they're not very tight fitting on the players. They're quite loose.
They're a weird cut.
Yeah.
Adidas had a weird cut a few years ago where it was just sort of ballooned out under the arms, and it just it's odd.
Yeah.
Especially for now.
Because footy Guernseys are
This
not
day and
like
age.
basketball or other sports where you're happy for it to flap around in the breeze a bit.
Yeah.
Like
No.
you
You need it tight across here because of the tackling risk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Neil Craig was big on this. I remember he.
Well, that I think started back in 2009.
Yeah.
Was when they did the really tight ones. Even though for the Crows they were not very stretchy, which
No.
some of the players didn't like. But
but that's where
that's
he
when
had
he sort
that,
of started to.
and he had the chamois piping down the sides.
Yeah.
Back in the day, he
Oh,
insisted
yeah.
on that
Yeah.
because it was less stretchy, so you couldn't get a good hand on it, and you could use it to dry your hands in the wet. But we haven't had an innovator like Neil Craig in the game since then. So obviously, I directly correlate those two things in the dropping quality of jumpers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I 2009. Someone told me this. I can't remember who, but yeah, there was a few guys. I think Andrew McLeod ended up
He
wearing
did.
a retail for a while.
Yeah.
Because he
Really?
hated the fit
For at least a few games.
and a
yeah.
lot of
Oh,
the players
wow.
hated it, and that's why we switched. Because obviously at that point, I'm pretty sure Reebok had been taken over by Adidas at that stage.
Oh, sure.
So
right.
so they owned them. So it wasn't really like a huge leap to shift across. And yeah, Reebok had their own problems with some stuff. Again, interesting though, like they did who do they do? Essendon in the late 90s. Amazing. I've got
Yeah.
a Matty Lloyd and a Dustin Fletcher.
It's weird how it
Reebok one.
changes.
That's
isn't it?
incredible.
Must
Yeah.
just be where they put their priorities, especially around
Yeah.
that time. I would have wanted to hitch my wagon to Essendon too. They were a very, very marketable club. With
Maybe it's
Hurd
sort of the
Yeah.
first couple of years of them taking on the manufacturing for the club. They really pay attention
They
to
just
it.
did it normal. Like they just did a normal
just
Guernsey. Cut
uncomplicated.
it normal, did
Yep.
normal, V-neck, and it was just good. The material feels nice. It's just a well-produced jumper. The other one actually in the late 90s, Melbourne had Canterbury.
Yes.
And they
Oh,
are
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah,
And then if
yep.
you look at what Canterbury produced for North now, it's garbage.
Yep.
So
That collar, that weird
Yeah.
toilet seat
The-
cover that comes down.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
it's garbage. Which is annoying because Canterbury in rugby is elite.
yep.
So obviously again they're putting the B staff onto the footy staff and putting all their money into rugby.
Well, that rugby neckline has been around for a little while.
Yep.
But they've tried to push it into something that doesn't fit.
It does not fit. It doesn't work.
Exactly.
And it's weird. It's just, it looks off and it's just a terrible look. Whereas the 90 stuff, I've got a Neats Melbourne.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing. And it's the old woolen kind of material, but it's the old Canterbury proper, like better than anything Seacom kind of did.
Yeah, sure.
Sort of wool, like real quality.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's a beauty from back then. But yeah, I can't think of anyone who's been around for more than 20 years in the manufacturing business that does it better now than they did then, which is
So
bizarre.
disappointing.
Like a very
Materials technology should mean that we're just getting better and better quality stuff every year, and it's not happening.
It's all around template and stuff. They want to create their own look, but really you don't have to. Like
No.
your logo's on it.
Yeah.
Just kind of just make it look
Exactly.
like a normal jumper. We
So
don't want
true.
sort of odd necks that have weird sort of bib things and stuff like that.
No.
It's
Good.
not a good look. So
No.
All right. Should we start
do
with
that.
what
Yeah,
you
let's
bought?
let's get
We
cracking.
better.
So I've gone in year order
Oh, good.
Cool.
We love that here.
where possible anyway.
Yeah.
So first one I thought I'd crack out is this one. This is the oldest match worn or known match worn jumper that I have. I have a couple
wow.
that might
Awesome.
get that up like that.
Yeah.
So, and the interesting story about this one is, I guess this goes to how cheap clubs were back in the day. You can have a look. So this is an Andrew Pay's 1992 Guernsey.
Sure.
But when I bought this, it was for, I can't even remember how much. It was less than $100.
wow.
It was sold to me as Simon Pedlar's 1994 training Guernsey.
Right.
training gears.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Right.
and you can see it's flogged.
Yeah.
So probably very likely it was Simon
Wow.
Pedlar's
Yeah,
training
probably.
Guernsey. But I've gone back through the archives and pulled out a bit of video footage that shows Andrew Pay's wearing this against Essendon.
Yep.
So, that's 2 years later. They've obviously reused stuff.
Yeah. I remember seeing this shot. You might have seen it of just them running in about 1996 or 97, where they've got a range of different jumpers on back from like 92 up until 96. It's really random.
Yeah. They just flogged everything they had, I guess.
Yeah.
And, but like collecting basketball is exactly the same. That Jordan I mentioned earlier, that was worn in 1990 and it's a 1987 cut
Right.
jersey.
Oh,
So,
wow.
like, I guess you're going to wear them. And as we would know from doing a bit of the collecting stuff, in 96 and 97, they were still at training wearing rebadged centenary Guernseys
Yeah,
that
sure.
were actually 95s.
Yeah.
Right.
So, they just,
There wasn't the same level of care, I guess, that exists now. But do you reckon that comes down to the sponsorship? Like the actual manufacturer wants their name on everything and they want new and up-to-date stuff all the time, don't they? So I guess that sort of era for just recycling jumpers is well and truly done now with your
100%.
Probably.
Yeah. Adelaide were very lucky, I guess, in that the Camry-Toyota partnership was so strong that
absolutely.
Yeah.
they never had an issue
Yeah.
with that, whereas other clubs obviously would have had to ditch a whole lot of stuff or rebadge them. I've got a Libba Bulldogs jumper that has 96, but clearly that they've taken off an old AFL logo.
Yeah,
and the
right.
Dulux
Wow.
sponsorship
Yes.
moved up and down a little bit on the back of that one.
Okay.
And so did the Icy.
Yep.
And that's clearly been removed and repatched as well. So
That's frustrating when you're trying to get what
you're trying to
from
photo
the
match
year,
it. Yeah.
the year before.
Yeah, but I can see the outline of where it was like, oh, that's around 94, and then 96 is a bit higher, and they've moved it up.
And for those that don't know what you mean, you just said photo matching. Can you
Yes.
just explain for anyone that doesn't know or hasn't sort of gone down the match-worn road, what is photo matching? What are you trying to do with that?
Yeah, so it's where you're basically taking unique characteristics of the item, grabbing some high-res photos where you can. Sometimes you don't have those. But,
Thank you, Getty Images.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Pretty much.
Getty have been very good to me over the years. Made me a lot of money with the basketball photo matching. And yeah, you basically you can attribute your Guernsey to specific games, specific points. It may be that some of the patching has come undone with the stitching, or there might be paint transfers from the rolling around the ground.
Yeah.
Basketball is brilliant for the mesh that they used to use. You can use that. That's like a
Oh,
fingerprint
right.
against numbers and things like that if you can get close enough. You could not reasonably replicate that ever. It'd be impossible. So, but yeah, when it comes to footy, because it is a contact sport, rips, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, stains. Yep, the whole bit. So, and some of the clubs, unfortunately, Adelaide don't do this, and I wish they did. They will see the actual dirty Guernsey. So what I was saying about West Coast in the first part, it's not just part of a dirty Guernsey program; it's the actual thing. So sweat, blood, mud. Wow. I'm pretty sure I got a Dean Cox Indigenous, and I'm pretty sure he has snozzed on the. There's a bit of clear sort of lacquer around the neck area. So,
and you don't wash it.
No,
or the Grippo stains or something.
Yeah, all that. But that one's in a bag because that is disgusting. I have tried to air that out. That one in a Selwood, which is absolutely like hammered and filthy. Just can't be put into general.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because they're just the stench is unreal.
Man,
So-
I know. I'm not an athlete, but I know what my sports gear gets like when I go for a walk. So I couldn't imagine what these folks
put
went
30
through.
Guernseys in a bag, leave them for a week, and see what
Let them
comes out
marinate
of
in the
that.
sun or in
It's
the back of a property steward's van or something.
It's foul. So yeah. But I mean, I guess it's a good point to make. Like everyone prefers different things, but I would certainly prefer straight off the player's back. As it is, if you tore it halfway down the thing, I got a Buckley. And it was worn in his 200th game for Collingwood.
Wow.
His 200th Collingwood game. So his 200th game. And he got in a fight in the third quarter and just tore the arm and everything off. And I've just kind of loosely stitched it back so it's a formed Guernsey. But brilliant for photo matching.
Yeah, absolutely.
At that point in time. Because you can see what happens. So, all of that kind of stuff is great. I reckon if you want a clean Guernsey, you can go buy retail. I want everything.
You want the real
the
deal.
Whole lot.
Yep. You want the story behind the jumper.
Exactly right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, should we move on?
Move on to number 2.
Yep.
So this one is probably my favourite jumper.
Oh, I can see why.
An idol as a kid, as we mentioned in part 1.
Yes. So he was my favourite player. Yep. As a kid, I wore number 6 on the back of my school Guernsey because of him. And probably in later life, really. I mean,
why not?
Yeah, wore number 6. But Mods is obviously my hero. And this one is quite a rare beast, actually, 95s.
Oh,
you do not see a lot of these. I know Andrew had one when he brought one in. He's got a Ben Hart.
Yep, he does.
Outside of that, I don't know about you, Lane, but I've never seen another one.
I haven't seen them, no.
Well, actually, other than Chris McDermott's 150th game one is in the MCG Museum.
Okay.
But
other
than
in
that,
museums or at clubs.
But
I
not
haven't
in
seen
private
any.
collections.
there's one. I
exactly.
think Tony McGuinness's is at the Adelaide Footy Club somewhere.
Oh,
But so that one there was
that's amazing.
amazing
Yeah.
find.
Yep.
I think it only made it out because it was sold as part of a Paralympic thing, I reckon around 96.
Like a fundraising?
thing.
Right.
And in just a huge coincidence, my father-in-law happened to work at Channel 9 at that time. The woman who had it was at Channel 9.
There you go.
So I ended up hitting him up to try and grab it, and he was able to.
That's
So
awesome.
and she didn't want much for that at all. I gave her a bit more because she didn't know what she had.
You want your conscience to be clear when you're walking home with that.
Yeah, and even now it's worth probably 5 times what I paid for it.
Yes.
But it'd have been worth 20 times what she wanted. So I was very happy to score that because Mods stuff is few and far between as well.
Well,
Like,
only
just-
played until 98, the Crows. So.
Correct, didn't have any 98 game. Well, later in the season we had a game worn, but again, it's probably been patched up for grand
probably,
final. So pretty rare. And as we know from the peddler pays thing, they got reused. So who knows?
Yeah, sure.
He might have had a 93 that was used in 92. So there's probably less than 10 Crows, Guernseys and Mods around. So I was very happy to have one of those.
I'm just honoured to be in its presence. When you put it like that, 1 in 10, that's amazing.
Love it.
I've got a little bit of a departure from Adelaide for a minute.
We don't normally allow that, but we will for today.
Well, that's all right. I think you like this.
Yes.
So I think you like this on Insta.
Yeah, sure.
With the Jarman brothers.
Yep, I would have done.
So this is
It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Andrew
Look at it.
Jarman's longie.
I love the patches.
They did the the Origin stuff very well back in the day. They were beautiful. And so I actually got this straight off Andrew.
My God.
Awesome.
He was really good. I hit him up and he got back to me, and he said I think 15 Origin games, that was the only one he had left.
Wow.
Jeez.
And he was good enough to sell it to me because I think we caught up. He was really good, actually. He spent over an hour with me.
Oh, awesome.
I showed him a few things. I think he just really enjoyed how passionate kind of was about collecting the stuff.
I learned this from chatting to Andrew too. He is just so passionate about the gear.
Yeah.
And I think he would love and appreciate having someone as equally as passionate. So
Andrew was blown away.
Yeah.
Andrew Jarman, I'm talking, was just blown away by like how much we all cared. I talked about kind of the other guys who did it as well. Because for him, it's like, you get your lunch pail, you get your hat, and you get your Guernsey, and you go out and exactly.
Yeah.
So he was more than happy to part with it, knowing that it was going to someone who was going to really appreciate it.
And it is good to see this old State of Origin jumpers
they're so
looked
good.
after.
Yeah. Love the old Origin
beauty.
stuff.
So were you able to speak to him whether he got all of them that he wore, or that's the only one he kept?
No. So he gave a lot away to charity. He's done that over the years. One of them we've recently found, I think it was 89. Andrew actually had a picture of Andrew Buse. Yeah. And he'd clearly exchanged Guernseys with Jar. So he must have had a Victorian jumper somewhere because Busey was walking off the ground with a long sleeve.
There's no other long sleeves. More iconic, I'd say.
Well, no, had two on the back. I mean, he obviously is the iconic longy wearer
absolutely
of all time. We'll get to another one a bit later with a bit of a cool story that he told me around the sleeve and stuff like that. In the interim, though, I thought I'd just grab two other Origin jumpers that I got off his brother, funnily enough.
Not a bad brother.
He
wasn't a bad.
Let's just leave this thing of absolute beauty line across here so everyone can see it for the rest of the thing.
Pretty decent family lineage of
players. Good North Adelaide boys come through too.
Yeah. So this was this is Darren's 93.
93.
So he was at Hawthorn still, obviously.
Awesome.
Unfortunately, he bailed on Adelaide and jumped the border. But I love this one. I love Eagle Super. So.
I was going to say, that's
you don't see that very often.
No, every Origin jumper I've ever seen has been West End.
Yeah. So for a while there, obviously West End rebranded. They rebranded. They were the major sponsor of the 36ers at the time, and they rebranded them to the Super Sixers. Which is awesome. I've got a couple of their uniforms back in the day, and they're amazing. They're my favourite kind of style ever worn.
What is this the old gold era of the 36ers? Were they in blue then?
No. So the blue happened with Pure Milk. They only changed because Pure Milk's branding was blue.
Right.
So they were red and white.
That's so weird.
And yellow with a tinge of blue. I mean, they had the state kind of thing.
Sure.
It was back in the old days. They had the sort of shooting stars jerseys.
Classic.
With Eagle Super on the front.
Classic 90s.
So I was very fortunate to jag a Phil Smythe full uniform a couple of months back.
Awesome.
And the Eagle Super, it just looks so good. It's such a because West End's fairly basic logo.
It is. I mean, it's one of those.
It's
classic,
iconic.
It's iconic from afar, but then this one, it's good from afar and
the
close
beauty
up.
of that one is we only wore this once. That was 93 and this is 94.
Right.
And 92 was West End again.
I'll just show that up again so everyone can see what we're sort of talking about.
Even more rare.
Yeah, it's a one-off just a great kind of style. Logo. And even the Sixers, I think, they were 93, 94 and then ditched. So
okay.
There you go.
Right.
Then they went to the Pure Milk blue uniforms. So it's a rare beast from back in the day. But love the old patches. All the old like there's a few other blokes I know, Melbourne supporters and stuff, and the Fosters, like all of the old stuff, CUB. They're just amazing looking.
Just iconic footy jumpers.
Yeah. All the iconic sponsors.
Nice and simple.
Keep it simple. Make it look effective.
We've gone the 97.
Back to the West End.
97.
So we're back at West End.
Good year.
This is actually a good example of the Canterbury. So,
yes.
It's a bit tighter knit. Just a really good, well designed and well made jumper. And obviously, Darren was back at Adelaide by then, so he finally got to wear the number 3 because he jumped around. I've got a few of his, and he was 8 and then 15 and then 11 and then 3. So
didn't realise there were so many different numbers at Hawthorn.
He did.
No, just in the Origin because you didn't always you couldn't double up. So if someone had your number, and I think at North Adelaide he was 15 anyway.
I think so. Yeah.
So that's where this came from. 95, he finally got to 11, which was his Hawthorn number.
That's right.
In the Origin. And then 97, he finally made it to 3.
Well, by the time he gets to 97, he's that much of a player on his own that he's just walking in the change rooms going, I'm wearing number 3.
I'll take that one.
I'll take number 3.
That is a nice one for 97. I see what you mean by the Canterbury jumpers.
They made a beautiful jumper.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
I mean, it would be hard for the viewers to be able to see this, but with these ones here, I mean, they're gorgeous, but you can see that they're very woolen. You can see the gaps in between the stitching.
Yeah, but these ones are very, very tight stitching.
It's a bit like what your nana would knit versus like what's come out of a mill.
Absolutely.
This is just like A-grade quality.
Awesome.
And, you know, the trim and stuff, it's all just beautiful. So,
man.
Yeah, the old Origins. Jumpers. Yeah.
And you can start to see a bit of change in design too. Sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're right.
If you're train spotters like us, you'll notice that the chevrons there are actually getting a lot tighter.
Yep.
They're getting closer into the collar and more of a V. Whereas beforehand, I don't know if I'm hijacking this, but
no. They're a bit wider.
They're a bit wider.
A bit shallower.
You might not even be able to see it on that, but if you know what you're looking for, they're a tiny bit wider and shallower and almost rounder.
Yep.
In a way too. So I love seeing that sort of evolution.
Yeah, slight tweaks. And then they moved the badge. They moved the year badge
to the bottom,
from the chest to the bottom.
Yep.
I do have Darren's 95, didn't bring it along. It sort of covers the bottom of the peak.
Yeah, right.
Which is sort of like a medallion, really.
Yeah,
which is a little bit odd.
Yeah, it's a bit different. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is very much more the style that Port Adelaide rolled out with the back to black kind of planet teal thing that was designed, you know, logo in the middle and thing. But yeah, beautiful quality. We'll roll back into some crows though. So,
there's some great state jumpers.
Too much of your potty with
no, that's fine. We are more than happy with this.
Oh yeah.
So I thought I'd bring this in. So 96.
I think this is a mandatory jumper for all guests from now on. If you're going to come onto this show, you need to bring in a 96 preseason.
Mark Prosciutto. Oh yeah, preseason.
I mean, with the 32 on the back, even better. But
so we've got a few of these.
It's just a big favourite. You just really love this design.
Favourite of the pod.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we had the 2 centenary preseasons.
We did. 2 slightly different ones.
Yeah. I don't know if people are across that, but
no, not many people are.
So in 96, they played the Lightning Cup, which is like a shortened version of thing played at Waverley. Yes. I think we were knocked out in the second round or something like that.
I only played a couple games.
Yeah. So what Puma did, it was interesting because we were obviously, you know, we'd gone away from the acrylic wool. We've now come on to sublimated Guernseys for the first time in Adelaide.
First printed ones.
It's the first time that we've gone with the yellow numbers and the white outline and a few other little details. And I guess Puma didn't know in advance because the Centenary logo obviously came in fairly late as well.
Right, yes.
So the Centenary logo was obviously league wide.
Yep. Yeah.
Some of the clubs you'll see around have like picked off the old AFL logo and just badged them up.
It because they were the old woolen style ones.
Yeah, quite a few did that. West Coast, for instance, got their 95 set, pulled that off, wore that in the preseason, and then waited until the regular rounds to wear the printed ones.
Okay.
So there's a massive variety around, and there's a huge collector around 96 stuff who's got the majority of that.
I think you've sent me onto this guy before.
Yes.
Yeah, massive
Doug. So he's got an enormous collection of just all the variants, which is really cool to see. Because you can see clubs were all over the shop.
Yeah, sure.
Like there was sports wool, and this was the first time that Seacombe didn't have the contract league wide.
Right.
So Puma came in for Adelaide.
Right.
They took on a few different clubs. You obviously wouldn't know it because there's no branding. It's just in the neck tag. But so Puma took on West Coast and Adelaide and a few other ones. And there are a few around, like Nike was trying to get in their foot in the door. So they would send heaps of stuff to some of the other clubs.
Oh, like Melbourne. Getting a whole batch.
There's a stack of Nike stuff from them. North, a few others. So, it became sort of like a bit of a, competition as who could who could get what contracts.
You've opened the market, you open up the economy and look at everyone come pouring in.
Yeah, they're all, and then a few of them, tried and true, stuck with Seacombe, but Seacombe brought in a new material called sports wool as well, which is same sublimated Guernseys, very similar material to this.
Yes.
And that's what Adelaide actually used after. Yep. But the difference in this, interestingly, is we had 2 sets. So Lightning Cup.
Do you want me to hold up one?
Yeah, sure.
Good idea.
We used the fat numbers.
Okay.
And then for the season proper and the proper Ansett Cup style, we used the thin numbers.
Right.
Yeah. The difference is all they did was put the stroke outside the number and then they put the stroke inside the number. If that makes any sense.
It does. Yeah.
who knows why, really. But I guess the only reason is you can see that number runs.
It looks a bit messy, doesn't it? Yeah.
Into each other and into the cuff. So I guess the presumption is that, that was too wide. And,
and that's with a 32. I imagine Sean Wren's like with a big 54 across it. That would have been a nightmare to fit in.
Yeah. So they went with a bit of a thinner run.
There you go.
And the old classic design. Do you think Puma sort of designed this first sort of pre-season one, or?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Because this is our first sort of alternate version for the home.
First time we haven't won the Hoops in any sort of official AFL competition. I don't know. I mean, the mid-90s was interesting. Sublimation brought in all sorts of possibilities.
Yep.
The same thing happened in the NBA. Like, you started seeing huge horsey heads and rockets and all sorts of weird shit coming on.
The NBA just
they went nuts.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, they went absolute. They thought, all right, we can print anything.
So let's
do it. Why not?
Whatever we can imagine on the jumper, let's just put it on there.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I feel like North kind of started this. They had the bounding roo in the preseason. I think 95.
Yeah,
and I think everyone else went, oh, we got an animal design, let's use it.
Yep.
So,
were North doing weird things like, because they were the Friday night pioneers, weren't they? Were they were one of the first to introduce a permanent away jumper in that bounding roo.
Yeah,
I got a funny feeling too. They wore a lot of different jumpers on the Friday nights. They were really trying to market Friday night footy, so I'm pretty sure they wore the bounding roo at home on a Friday night as well.
So
someone fact check that for me and leave it in the comment. But that was the era for being out there and creative with your jumpers. I think we're better for that too. Bit of creativity in your away jumpers.
Well, do you know what? So we had some away jumpers later that are far worse than this.
Oh, yeah.
Way worse.
Last year's.
Yeah. But like the early 2010s were just some shocking stuff. And like clubs like Port, even the mid 2000s, they had all sorts of horrific things.
Yeah.
But like the 90s was years ago and they were coming up with stuff that, I mean, this is childish and a bit gimmicky.
But it's vivid colours.
It's better than these things. But they haven't evolved at all. Like they're just...
Is it because at the heart of this is still rooted a football jumper? Whereas you look at Port, for example, with the weird lightning bolts and the weird, 90s matrix gradient thing coming up and a photo of an actual lightning bolt coming across. That looks like a screensaver on a desktop. It doesn't look like a footy jumper. So I don't think it ever translated quite from a design artwork piece onto a jumper, whereas this does. This just fits
gradients are generally a bad
news.
Idea.
West Coast ochre.
Well,
that might be the exception.
That is a beloved Guernsey. But like if you look at West Coast Home,
it's because it's weird.
They faded yellow to blue and it went green in the middle.
Yeah.
Because that's what happens when you have a gradient.
Funny about that, yeah.
So,
when you mix colour palettes, that's what happens.
So, I mean, theirs was one of the most shocking, like, backward steps I think I can remember in terms of the beautiful wings design to that. That was an absolute shock. Again, though, that was as a result of their preseason. If you look at their original BGS, I think preseason Guernsey, it had quite a nice looking eagle head coming across the tri-panel. They should have just left it in preseason.
Absolutely.
But they didn't. But Richmond had all sorts of weird like tiger claw kind of things. And
I remember that one,
all of the...
they brought that back a little while ago with grey and the tiger head in the middle.
It looks... that was a trainer. And I think they wore that pre-season too.
Yeah.
That was a shocker. There've just been some things that, you'd question.
Yeah. But I respect the creativity. I still respect clubs being bold, even if the execution doesn't come off.
Well, that's what the first sort of supplementary jumpers opened up. It's risky, but it can work out.
And that's why pre-season, like, it works in that. You can have a crack and do something weird.
And you definitely get feedback.
Feedback is a good term for it,
There's nothing like a footy club to get, a bunch of footy fans to give you a very direct and honest feedback about,
especially now with Twitter,
what you've done. Social media. You don't even have to do anything bad. No. Like you'll...
Mediocre is bad enough for some people online. We know all about that. We have a podcast.
As you would.
Should we keep going?
Let's
so
keep
some
going.
awesome designs and some great players.
Next cab off the rank, another one from Andrew.
Good, a longie.
So this is hang on. Well, it's a half longie. And that's where the story comes into it. So this is
interesting.
So I got this direct from Andrew again. And again, he was fantastic and really appreciated, the passion. And that's the only reason I have this. So this is his last Guernsey he ever wore. For the LA Footy Club.
Yeah, okay.
And we had that chat.
Yeah.
And the reason it looks like it is because Puma specifically made him a 3/4 half sleeve Guernsey at his request.
Amazing.
Because he's also the only guy who wore a collar for us.
Yes.
Yep.
Which I massively
really cool.
appreciate, the sleeves and collar.
Yeah, I love the old school
I
collar.
remember in the early years before this year, he would sort of cut the sleeves so he could roll them up.
So 1995, he told me the story because I asked him specifically. He cut them with a pair of scissors. He just cut them off. Yep. And the AFL went, nah, that's not happening. So he made the club.
Why?
Why?
Well, I don't really know.
Yeah. It's not near an AFL logo.
I guess they said it's a bit like, remember the blokes used to cut their socks halfway up?
Yeah.
Because they want to be cool and wear them like halfway up.
Right.
But it's
And then
also
they were
about
like, no, you
comfort
can't
level,
do
isn't
that. So they ended up having to then re-sew on the top of the sock to make it look like it was. So that's what they made him do. They made him re-sew on the trim
Really?
to make it look like a Guernsey. Yeah. So the club sewed that back on to his 95 Guernsey. And then 96 rolls around and he requested the shorter sleeve. And
Exclusively
Puma
wore
obliged.
it.
Yeah. And then he had other guys, he was saying, Hurd and a few other guys were calling him up and saying, hey, how'd you get this done? And do you mind if I
Because there was
go down the same path?
There was a few great longy wearers back in the day. And
Mate. Yeah.
I mean,
Sauce.
Uze, Hurd.
Yeah.
But there's one in particular that I just can't think of. I think he played for Melbourne and famously used to wear them rolled up to the elbow. So he'd have this big
Russell Robertson?
I think it might have been, He used to roll them all the way up to the
Guy
elbow.
McKenna used to do that. He cut them once and got in trouble as well.
Yep. So, but you were allowed to
Seems
roll
like a
them
crazy
up.
rule.
It's bizarre. But
And if you didn't have the trim on it, it was,
not
considered-
uniform.
Well,
Part
maybe.
of the team.
I guess edited uniform.
I guess that's the thing is, the AFL is now starting to, in this sort of era, appreciate its own branding.
Yeah.
And I think the NBA appreciated that more than any other sport. They realized that the tagline NBA itself was the marketing and the property, whereas beforehand it was just sort of leagues had good teams and shit teams. It was.
Yeah.
But now NBA is like, we are the force, we're the marketing presence, and then they release Space Jam. But anyway,
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So the AFL
And
must
now
have been.
second one, they re-upped
Yeah.
and have compounded the error.
I don't know. You've got a kid. Maybe you'll go see it. No,
Maybe I will.
So maybe that's an issue of the AFL going, no, you're upsetting our branding. You're upsetting
Yeah.
our uniformity and our branding with that. But good on Jars. Like that's a typical
Classic.
Jarman move, typical
Yeah.
smart ass move to go, well, bugger it, I'll get one made up and it's still got the trim.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's hilarious.
that was
it looks like a baby.
It's
Very
definitely one of a kind.
Yes.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Adelaide, kind of history. That's certainly one of the most unique kind of individual styles that any of our guys have worn anyway.
Yeah.
Because it was just so different to what all the other blokes were running out in.
Yep.
Which is cool.
Love it.
We'll shoot from that to our first
Mm.
First
alternative
away.
Guernsey worn in for premiership points. So the first away, the Adidas with the swooping crow on the front,
I love it.
which we no longer have, unfortunately.
No.
And
Shame.
we've gone the red numbers,
Yeah.
which I actually did not like at all.
No,
when
I'm
this
with
happened.
you. Yeah.
And they've massively grown on me.
Same.
I
They've
actually-
grown on me too. Yeah.
Oh no, see, I
I
mean,
think it's a nostalgia. I don't know if I'd like it if we wore it today.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I like
yeah.
seeing it on this. It's
Sure.
different and unique.
Yeah.
that's fair.
I like that Adidas went with the shield kind of thing,
Yes.
which they did for Geelong, Collingwood,
Fremantle.
They did for a
and
few.
Freo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was their kind of base back for away Guernseys for a while.
I love it.
Yeah.
So that was very unique and cool because it obviously reflected, just about every single team had the old shield
Yes.
logo.
They made sure. I think,
when we
in the late
started,
90s.
you had to consistently, as you can see on Leighton's
Yeah.
shield.
Yes,
Classic
yeah,
shield one.
yeah.
That was the logo I grew up with.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the reason I brought this specific one is you can actually see, Seacom made these, but they made them for Adidas. So
Yep.
they're branded
Right,
Adidas. As a result, they made them extremely long.
Mm.
So
Right.
as you can see in the bottom corner there, they've actually cut this one down for Nigel,
Yes, look at the tag.
which they did
Right.
for quite a few players actually.
Right.
If you
Okay.
go back and have a look through history,
Yeah.
97, not so much. They're a bit longer, but you can see, I think Jarman in the 97 grand final looks like he's not wearing shorts. Like, he's so long.
Yeah,
he's running around.
Yep.
So,
and they're not doing the tucking in back then as
yeah,
much.
correct. Yeah, tuck-in's gone. So there's no Matty Rowles running around in 1997.
And before the I can't believe how many basketball references we're getting in this, but before the Jordan effect of wearing big shorts sort of took over in the AFL.
Yeah,
so they're all wearing. That's amazing. So they
kept the
trimmed it
tag
back
a little bit.
So
and then stitched over the top again.
Wow.
The funny thing about this one is because I've got quite a few of these that have clearly been shortened.
Yep.
This is the only one where they didn't remove the tag. I don't know why.
It's just,
I guess maybe because
he needed that height specifically.
Well, I suppose, they cut it under the tag, so
the tag's still there. It's,
but I've got a Roo that's been cut, that's shortened. A Goodwin. If you have a look at Mark Rasciuto in the 98 grand final, he looks like he's wearing a midriff. It's cut off at the second yellow hoop.
I just thought
it looks
bizarre.
bizarre.
Crazy.
No, it's like right at the shorts level. It's,
I've got to rewatch it. I've got to watch it back.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Because I was doing some research for some other stuff ages ago.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised to find that during the regular season it's a bit longer, like probably a couple inches longer. But yeah, very short.
Yeah.
Brett James too.
Yes.
One that he's a bit smaller than Roo, but cut off at the
Andrew's
second
got that
hoop,
one.
which is weird because now the hoops are so much thinner. Like I was looking at this the other day. They're almost 7 mil thinner than they used to be.
Which
means you fit
too
so
many
many
hoops.
more on. Yeah, exactly. It does look weird.
Yeah.
But back in the day, 2 hoops, 2 sets would get you like right to your shorts level.
Maybe that's why we've shortened them then, because if you've got if everyone's got like 1, 2, 3 hoops, it's really obvious who's got 1, 2 and a half.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's rather than just he's got X amount of gold
they're all
hoops.
cut like the old American football.
Yeah,
so American
sure.
football, they used to stud them down the middle so that you couldn't be grabbed out of their hands. Things. So they would stud them like underneath the crotch area.
Yeah.
So they all had these kind of like extra things. They do it a little bit in hockey too. They have the fight straps and stuff.
Yep.
So they're now all being cut with this sort of like rounded bottom that's longer in the tail.
Yeah.
So they're all a little bit weird anyway. But yeah, you look at Tex, it feels like his hoops go forever.
Or Rob.
Rob is a big one for that. Yeah.
Just like they're so long.
What cracks me up is looking at those big blokes from behind, especially when we play away. Back in the day when we had like the all white back or the old yellow back, and it was just this. It looked like the side of a wall or something, just going all the way down to their shorts. And the sponsor would be in the same place as everyone else, and then they just had this extra feet of fabric hanging down the rest of them.
It was a strange look,
isn't it? Yeah,
for that time.
So the classic 99 away, the first away.
Away,
Nigel Smart.
Yeah, Nigel Smart. Our first All Australian in his first year.
Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, classic.
Yep.
Which was cool. So we moved into 2000s. The obvious change is the AFL logo has changed.
Yes.
So obviously 2000.
Yeah.
We went with this. I actually don't like this logo either. I much prefer the shield. I think they should have just updated the shield.
There's been rumours online. And
I've heard this for years.
Yeah, Big
about
Footy.
a shieldish.
I reckon Big Footy gets onto it maybe once a year.
Yeah.
Around February, someone will say, confirm, heard it from my brother-in-law's best mate who works at AFL House. The logo was changing in December.
Yeah.
Never does.
Heard it 3 or 4 years in a row and it hasn't happened. But,
yeah.
And then I've heard the shield. I've heard all sorts of. I've heard an NRL style where it's just the negative of the. If you've seen the NRL logo, it's just the words and then nothing behind. It's just the sort of the negative of it. Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe one day it'll change.
What happens. But,
Yep, that's it.
Yeah,
it is what it is at the moment.
I think the shield fit better. It was my preference, but this one is actually from 2003.
Yes.
And number 32 on the back.
Oh, that's a good year for Roo, isn't it?
Wasn't it?
So the Brownlow year.
Awesome.
This particular one I've matched to a bit of a horrible memory, the Brisbane belting in the final. But I reckon he wore it at training. Yeah, the semi-final that Gary was not too thrilled about.
Yeah.
He tore the paint strips off the wall after that one. He was just about done after that as well. I think.
We still come out the season with a high with our first ever Brownlow medal. So.
Yes, we did. Yeah, which is amazing.
The only year we did that strange collar with the Russell 30 logo in the middle.
Yeah, so Russell brought that in. The only thing I think with this is they went too low with the hoops.
Yes.
So we've got this enormous yoke.
Yep.
It worked for some of the clubs. Like Brisbane's is a much higher yoke.
It is.
So it looked quite good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Their logos moved up the Guernsey as well, whereas ours, it's a long way to get to that first hoop. They should have moved it up an inch.
I agree.
And
the best ones always start around the bottom of the cup, just around here, I feel.
And if you compare this to an 04, they did. They moved it up.
They moved it up.
They
and the collar even went down with the logo there. There was less blank space.
They went with the...
But isn't that funny that, like, anyone watching this thinking, what are you talking? Like, why does it matter there to there? It just does.
It's the feel.
And it's something that sometimes you notice these things and you can't ever unnotice them. And they just stick like a worm in your brain and you can't get rid of it, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
I also can't stand, I mean, it's kind of charming, but I don't like the old cotton on sublimated, only because the cotton fades so quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
You know, and as a collector, when you get one of these, if it's not been, and this is not me knocking you or your collection, but if the person who had this before you, for example, just didn't look after it.
Yeah.
And it got even a little bit of sun, all of a sudden you've got this pale yellow against this gorgeous rich gold.
Yeah.
Or even here in the collar, it's so obvious, isn't it? The sublimation versus the wool.
Well, I think what happened with this is because I'm pretty sure Mark is wearing this in the photo he took. I reckon he wore this at training because this came direct from him.
Okay.
Was through other trades, but originally direct from him as a gift to someone who then sold it on. And he's obviously, as you can see, written 03 in the collar there. So my suspicion is, given how hammered this is, and given that we've already spoken about the fact that they sold 10 of these or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 03, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he wore this through training the whole year, possibly wore it like once or twice on game day, definitely wore it in the Brisbane final. So, yeah, you're right. Pre-season, like they flog them. And Puma was bad for that too. Like, they started out a beautiful gold and just went really faded. If you looked at the ones they wore over pre-season and did all their running in, they were just hammered.
As it would be.
The collar and cuffs was
February is not a
like
great
lemon
time for
yellow.
Yeah.
So,
and then we get BLK in a few years later and they just do it for us.
All lemon yellow.
Yeah. Washed. Guys, I reckon we might put a pause on that one too when we go into round 3 coming up soon. What do you think?
Yep.
Great, cool, because this is fantastic and we have, I think we've just scratched the surface. Is that right?
Sure. Yeah.
Let's keep going then. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for part 3. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Pain Medicine and Trojan Aluminium. Thank you guys too so much for joining in and for, let's not beat around the bush, for being a Patreon and paying us money to keep the lights on. Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon.